Hello everyone, and welcome back to Chill Chat English. It is Eric here, and I am so incredibly glad you are turning up for yourself today. Today we are going to dive straight into something very close to my heart. Something that can completely change the direction of your life, your mindset, and, yes, your English-speaking journey. We are talking about building a morning routine for self-discipline, no detours, no long introductions. Let's get right into the biggest problem most of us face when we try to change our lives. Let's clear the air immediately. We are not here to talk about that perfect, highly stressful kind of morning routine that you see on social media. You know what I mean, right? The kind of routine where you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go for a 10-mile run, write in a journal for an hour, do yoga, read 50 pages of a difficult book, and drink some strange bright green juice, all before breakfast. Honestly, some of those morning routines look more like a punishment than a healthy habit. And let's be honest, if a routine feels like a punishment, your brain will find every possible reason to avoid it. I do not know about you, but on most mornings, I am just standing in my room trying to remember why I walked in there. My brain does not wake up instantly, and that is exactly why we are having this conversation today. We want to talk about morning routines for real people. Sleepy mornings, busy mornings, messy mornings. Mornings where just finding a matching pair of socks feels like a massive victory. We want to build self-discipline, but we also have real mornings. The problem is, many of us make beautiful, elaborate morning plans at night. Oh, nighttime Eric was always so brave. At midnight, I would write down this massive list of tasks for the next morning. Wake up at 5:30, clean the entire apartment, read a chapter of a philosophy book, study 50 new vocabulary words, plan the whole week, and be completely peaceful. Peaceful as a task. But then, morning Eric would wake up, look at that list, and think, who wrote this? And why was he so incredibly confident? When we fail to meet those huge, unrealistic expectations, the guilt arrives early. It arrives before breakfast, before we even have a chance to start our day. And when your morning begins with guilt, the rest of the day feels incredibly heavy. English practice quickly becomes part of that guilt. You think, I should practice English today. Then you get busy. Then it becomes evening. Then you feel too tired and say, I will do it tomorrow. And tomorrow becomes tomorrow again. If this sounds familiar, I want you to know that the secret to breaking this cycle is simple. We need to make our morning expectations smaller. We need to stop trying to fix our entire life before breakfast. For me, the breakthrough happened when I chose just one small win that I could easily repeat. I stopped trying to study grammar rules for an hour. Instead, I committed to sitting down, taking a deep breath, and reading just one English sentence slowly and deeply. Just one. But I did it with intention. I did it like it actually mattered. It did not feel like a heavy academic lesson. It felt like a small, warm ritual. There is a beautiful difference between a habit and a ritual. A habit is just something you repeat automatically, like brushing your teeth or putting on your seatbelt. But a ritual is something you return to because it has meaning. It is a personal space you create for yourself to reconnect and feel grounded. When you make English practice part of your morning ritual, it stops feeling like a scary chore or a test. It becomes familiar. It becomes a natural part of who you are. A lot of English learners tell me, Eric, I know a lot of words, but when I try to speak, everything feels so far away. The words are in my notebook, but they are not ready in my mouth. I understand that completely. The words seem to run away quietly like they have other plans. That happens because we are treating English as a school subject that we only study occasionally when we have high energy. But when you let English into your morning ritual, you are giving the language a real place to live in your life. Now let's talk about a word that describes how many of our mornings feel. Scattered. Scattered means your mind feels messy, unfocused, or pulled in 10 different directions all at once. You wake up, and before you even open both eyes, you remember 3 things you forgot to do yesterday, 1 urgent task you have to do today, and a random worry that does not have an appointment but still decides to show up in your head. When your mind is scattered, learning English feels almost impossible because your brain is already working too hard trying to manage the chaos. That is why a morning routine is so important. Its job is not to make you perfect. Its job is to give your mind a safe place to land. It acts as an anchor. An anchor is something that keeps a ship steady and safe when the waves are rough. If your morning has one simple, quiet anchor, your mind can settle. And once your mind is settled, English can enter easily. It is no longer another task chasing you. It is a calm space you step into. This removes all the performance pressure. You do not need a magical 8-hour study session to become fluent. You just need a strong base. You do not need to see the entire road ahead of you. You just need to focus on the very next step. Your next step cannot be become fluent in English. That is too big. It makes the brain freeze. But your next step can easily be, I will listen to Eric's voice for 5 minutes while I get ready. Or, I will say one simple sentence out loud while I make my breakfast. That is more than enough to begin. When you repeat these small steps day after day, you begin to cultivate your English. To cultivate is a beautiful word. It means to grow or develop something slowly, with patience and gentle care, like a gardener growing a delicate plant. You do not shout at a seed to grow faster. That does not help. I have tried shouting at my goals before, and trust me, they did not respond well. Growth needs time, care, and steady repetition. Some progress is completely invisible at first, just like roots growing deep under the soil. You cannot see what is happening from the surface, but underneath, a strong foundation is building. Your quiet morning practice is building those deep roots. And on those days when you do fall out of rhythm, because life happens and mornings can get chaotic, the key is learning how to return without being angry with yourself. Real discipline is not about being perfect and never failing. It is about knowing how to dust yourself off and come back to your ritual with kindness. Every single time you return, you are telling your brain, this matters to me. Slowly, little by little, your brain starts to change. It begins to rewire itself. It creates new neural patterns. Instead of automatically thinking, I will practice English later, your brain starts to look for English early in the day, before the world gets too loud and busy. You create a new rhythm, a new pattern that you can keep returning to. Now let's move into our special segment, Say It Better. I want to share this segment because so many of you feel these deep emotions about your learning journey, but you might not know how to express them in natural, spoken English. You might say very basic sentences like, my morning is bad, or I study English, but we want to express the deeper truth of our efforts. So, let's learn how to say them better, using the rich vocabulary we discussed today. Let's start with a very common sentence. I study English in the morning. This is a perfectly correct sentence, but it sounds a bit like a school chore. It does not show the personal value of your practice. Instead, you can say, I make English part of my morning ritual, even if it is only for 5 minutes. Hear how much warmer that feels? It turns a study task into a meaningful personal space. Let's look at another one. My morning is messy. We have all lived this sentence, but to describe that specific mental state more accurately and naturally, you can say, I feel scattered in the morning, when I do not have a simple routine. By using the word scattered, you are describing exactly what is happening in your mind, which is the first step to fixing it. Here is a third example. My routine helps me. This is true, but it is a bit empty. It does not explain how it helps. Let's make it much more descriptive. My morning routine is an anchor that helps me start the day with more focus. Now, you are using a powerful visual image. The routine is not just a list of tasks, it is actively keeping you steady and calm. Let's do one more. I want to improve my English. This is a big, beautiful dream, but sometimes it feels too heavy and urgent. Let's say it with more patience and peace. I want to cultivate my English slowly by practicing a little every morning. This sentence completely removes the panic. It shows that you understand that real fluency is grown with daily care, not rushed in a single day. Let's look at a fifth one that many learners struggle with. I always stop practicing English. When you stop, you feel bad. But instead of focused failure, let's frame it as a natural journey. You can say, I am learning how to return to my English ritual without judging myself when life gets busy. This shifts your mindset from guilt to resilience. It is not about never stopping. It is about how you return. And finally, a sixth one. I want to think in English automatically. This is a high-level goal. To express the process of making this happen, you can say, by touching English early every morning, I am slowly rewiring my brain to think in English more naturally. This explains the exact science of habit creation in a very elegant way. Remember, saying it better is not about using fancy, complicated words to show off. It is about making the human truth of your experience easier to share. Now, I want us to look at our 6 key words for today. One by one, I will explain their deep meanings, share real-life examples, and give you plenty of space to listen and let the sounds sink into your memory. Our first word is scattered. Scattered. As we discussed, scattered describes a feeling of being messy, unfocused, or pulled in many different directions. If you wake up and your mind is already jumping from one worry to another, your thoughts are scattered. Let's look at 3 practical examples of how to use this word. First, I felt so scattered this morning that I forgot my keys. Second, my mind was too scattered to focus on reading English. Third, a simple morning routine helps my thoughts feel less scattered. Our second word is ritual. Ritual. A ritual is a series of actions that you do regularly and with a sense of meaning, care, or purpose. It is different from a mechanical habit because it has personal value. Here are 3 real-life examples for you. First, sitting quietly with a glass of water has become my favorite morning ritual. Second, I treat my daily English practice as a peaceful ritual, not a chore. Third, when a habit becomes a ritual, it is much easier to keep. Our third word is foundation. Foundation. A foundation is the strong, solid base that supports a structure, a building, or an idea. Without a good foundation, things easily collapse when pressure is applied. Let's see how we can use this in conversation. First, a calm morning routine gives my entire day a strong foundation. Second, consistent listening practice is the foundation of natural speaking. Third, keeping small promises to yourself builds the foundation of self-discipline. Our fourth word is cultivate. Cultivate. To cultivate means to prepare, grow, or develop something slowly and carefully over time. It requires patience, consistency, and gentle effort. Let's look at these 3 examples. First, I want to cultivate a positive mindset through my morning habits. Second, we are trying to cultivate our English skills little by little every single day. Third, self-discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you must cultivate. Our fifth word is anchor. Anchor. An anchor is a heavy metal device used to keep a ship steady in the water. In life, an anchor is any habit, routine, or thought that keeps you feeling calm, steady, and secure when life gets busy or stressful. Here is how you can use this beautiful word. First, my morning walk is the anchor that keeps me grounded all day. Second, during a busy week, my simple English routine became my anchor. Third, we all need a quiet moment in the morning to anchor our minds. Our sixth and final word is rewire. Rewire. To rewire means to change the physical or mental connections in a system. In psychology, it means to change the way your brain automatically thinks, reacts, or behaves by consciously practicing a new, healthy pattern. Let's see this word in action with 3 key examples. First, you can actually rewire your brain to think in English by practicing daily. Second, replacing my morning phone habits slowly rewired my focus. Third, our brains are incredibly flexible, and we can rewire old negative patterns. Now, let's bring all 6 of these beautiful words together into one cohesive paragraph. Listen to how naturally they connect to tell a story of growth and hope. I used to feel so scattered in the morning, but now I have created a small, peaceful ritual that gives my day a much better foundation. I am trying to cultivate self-discipline slowly, and my early morning English practice has truly become a steady anchor for my mind. Little by little, I can feel that this simple habit is rewiring the way my brain thinks and learns. Doesn't that sound incredibly natural, peaceful, and fluent? That is the power of learning English through meaningful, real-life context. And now, my friend, the microphone belongs to you. I want to invite you to take part in our daily community challenge. I want you to go down to the comment section below and write just one honest sentence about your morning routine. You can use our special sentence starter. My morning routine helps me stay disciplined because, remember, your sentence does not need to be perfect. It does not need to look like a textbook. It just needs to be honest. One honest sentence written by you is worth more than 1,000 grammar rules memorized in a book, because writing that sentence is an action. It is proof that you are active, present, and growing. Thank you so much for spending this part of your morning with me. Take care of your English, and take care of your heart. This is Eric. Bye for now.